Welcome to Life Partner by Casey Lee. This is The Dating Files, a segment where we look at real dating situations and the quiet moments that determine whether a relationship grows or slowly fades. Today's situation is one that can feel especially confusing. You decide to step away from a connection, and the response you receive is, "I feel blindsided." On the surface, nothing is clearly wrong. The communication is consistent. The person is kind, there aren't any obvious red flags, and yet something doesn't fully settle for you. So you continue getting to know them. You give it a little more time, and you stay open. You try to see if the connection deepens, but internally, there's a quiet sense that something is not quite aligning. And eventually, you make the decision to step away. And the response you receive is, "I feel blindsided." That moment can feel disorienting because from your perspective, this didn't come out of nowhere. There were small signals along the way, nothing dramatic, but a lack of full resonance, a sense of hesitation, a feeling that something wasn't quite right. But from the other person's perspective, the experience can feel very different. And this is where it becomes helpful to look at what's happening beneath the surface. Often, what's occurring in situations like this is a difference in emotional pacing. One person begins to feel connected more quickly through consistent communication, through regular interaction, through the experience of things moving forward. And as that connection builds, they may start to feel a sense of certainty, a sense that this is progressing in a meaningful way. But you, however, may be moving at a different pace. You're still observing, still discerning, still allowing the relationship to unfold before deciding how you really feel. And this difference in pacing is subtle. It doesn't always show up in obvious ways, because both people can be engaged, responsive, and present in the interaction. So on the surface, the relationship can look like it's moving forward evenly, but internally, it's not always being experienced at the same depth. And that difference matters, because when one person is experiencing growing emotional investment while the other is still evaluating the connection, they are, in a sense, in two slightly different versions of the same relationship. So when the relationship ends, each person is responding to their own internal experience. One person is responding to the realization that something wasn't fully aligning. The other is responding to the connection they felt was already there. And from that perspective, the ending can feel sudden. Not because it truly came out of nowhere, but because it doesn't match the way they were experiencing the relationship. And this is why the word blindsided can appear. It's not always a reflection of something being done incorrectly. It's often a reflection of two different emotional timelines, one that was still forming and one that felt more established. And neither of those experiences is inherently wrong, but they are different. And understanding that difference can bring a lot of clarity to a moment that otherwise feels confusing. Because without that understanding, it's easy to internalize the reaction, to wonder, did I miss something? Was I too quick? Should I have handled it differently? But often, what you were responding to was real, even if it was quiet. A lack of full alignment doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up as a feeling that something isn't quite settling. And part of dating with intention is being able to recognize that and respond to it. Even when there isn't a dramatic reason, even when the other person is kind, even when things look good on the surface. Because something can be good and still not be right for you. If you've experienced this before, it may not have been that something came out of nowhere. It may simply be that the relationship was unfolding at two different depths. and the ending revealed that difference. There's also an emotional layer to moments like this, especially when you're the one being told something felt sudden, even though it didn't feel that way to you. If this episode resonated with you, following the podcast and leaving a review helps more women find this conversation and build more clarity in their own dating experiences. For those of you who want to go a little deeper, quietly, I recorded a private continuation where I talk about what I'd say if you were my client, the part we don't usually talk about publicly, and how to emotionally hold this week. That lives inside the members-only podcast feed, and you can learn more in the show notes. This conversation is complete as it is. I'm really glad you're here. Stay steady and stay aligned with the relationship you want.